We begin this stage at the foot of this famous Templar church, which was actually moved stone by stone from its original location, where there is now a reservoir. Today we have a 25-kilometer journey, first climbing up to Alto de Ligonde and then descending to Palas de Rei. Among other things, we will discover a unique stone cross, a monastery church linked to the Knights of Santiago, and an Iron Age hill fort. Let's get going. On leaving Portomarín, we descend to the road to cross one of the streams that flow into the Beleza Reservoir. At the end of the bridge, we come to the first crossroads of the day. On the left, the historic Camino continues through the village of San Roque. It is half a kilometer longer and runs entirely on pavement and asphalt. On the right, the so-called complementary route begins, the usual itinerary, which climbs through a beautiful wooded section, which is the one we choose. Once the two routes rejoin, we carefully cross the road a couple of times. We continue along a parallel path, first reaching Toxibo, where an elegant oreo, a traditional wooden structure for hanging hams, stands. Shortly after, we pass through Gonzar, with several hostels and restaurants inviting us to have our first snack of the day. The route continues its uncomfortable and gradual ascent to Castromaior. This place name refers to the Peromano fort that lies just outside the village, which is our next destination. It is an archaeological gem, an Iron Age fort that was inhabited until the 1st century. The Camino de Santiago runs along its northern edge. In the Buen Camino de Santiago app, we have included a small detour on the map so that you can cross the fort and get a better view of it. We arrive at Hospital, which refers to an old pilgrims' hospital called de la Cruz. The next landmark on our pilgrimage is Ventas de Narón. In this peaceful spot, a battle between Christians and Muslims was fought in 820. On the outskirts of the town is the modest chapel of La Magdalena. We continue for a couple of hours along this quiet country road, passing through the Ligonde mountains. A few steps further on, we discover the magnificent Lameros cross on the left of the Camino, built around 1674. Its pedestal features rich iconography, including a ladder, tongs and nails, which bring us closer to the scene of Christ's descent from the cross. On the other sides, we can clearly see a skull and a crown of thorns, examples of the Passion. On one side of the cross is a sculpture of the Pietà, and on the other, Christ crucified. We continue on, and in Ligonde a stone cross marks the cemetery of the old Pilgrims' Hospital, which no longer exists. We then reach Airexe, where the parish church dedicated to our apostle is located. On one of the walls facing the cemetery, there is a fragment of a pre-Romanesque sarcophagus that was reused as building material. We carefully cross the provincial road that leads to Monterroso, and in Portos, we reach the turnoff to the Monasterio de Vilar de Donas, a national monument. The round trip to the monastery is about 5 kilometers. When it was founded, it was a convent, and later, at the end of the 12th century, it was donated to the Order of Santiago, which built a church where the knights of this order in Galicia were buried. The Romanesque-style temple features a western facade, valuable mural paintings inside, and original ironwork on the doors. After Portos, we head towards Lestedo, where we stop at a cross with a pusaduaro, which is used to support the coffin of the deceased. At the foot of the road, in the village of Rosario, pious pilgrims, upon seeing the sacred peak in the distance, pray a rosary as they descend to Palas de Rei. The Camino leaves the national road and finally enters Palas de Rei, passing first by the public pilgrims' hostel, Os Chacotes. Palas de Rei is a classic end to a stage on the French Way, and now has around 20 places for pilgrims to stay. The last large town in the province of Lugo offers us a well-deserved rest before the tough stage that will take us to Arzua tomorrow. Buen camino!